One time for the one time. Spoiler warning for any non-manga readers of One Piece. I promise you, you will get spoiled because what I'm going to talk about right now is what I think is Zoro's biggest step towards Mihawk. And I think it's happening relatively soon. Now, to be fair, what I'm going to say in this video is things I brought up before in many Zoro videos I've done in the past. Like, for example, how to make a black blade. That video, a very robust, very detailed video. Recently, the why can we never see Zoro the same way? That video, very robust video about Zoro. So this video has a lot of points from those videos, but a far more condensed version of those videos. And also, part of the reason why I'm doing this now is because I have this theory that, at this point in time, it's very unlikely that Zoro would actually beat King in November this month, and actually does tie to the Shimotsuki bloodline stuff. Again, check out my videos where I talk about that stuff. But obviously at this point in time, it's very unlikely that King is going to be defeated in the next chapter on Sunday. That's tough. Yeah, it's really tough. So I don't think Zoro is going to beat King after King had just been rolling Zoro. It's been whoa. However, if you can't beat King, at least get some big moment. Because here's the thing, I'm not against the idea of Zoro beating King before Sanji beats Queen, going against the grain a little bit here, because there's actually more plot points for Zoro after he defeats King, with the Hiri, Orochi, potentially Denjiro, because we've seen it in a while. But I think these plot points still need to be addressed. Hiri did say in front of Zoro way back when, I want to kill Orochi. So I feel like Zoro should at least be present, and then things may play out in some odd way. But I think Zoro should be involved in that plotline, absolutely. But of course, that's after he beats King. And right now, again, King is dominating this fight, albeit in a very odd way, because let's keep it a buck. The ancient Zoans, some of them are actually demigods, like they're demi-mythical Zoans. I said in my reaction video that if Jurassic Park takes place in One Piece world, the dinosaurs just win. Granted, to be fair, in Little Garden, they're clowns, but all of a sudden now in Wano Country, these things are demigods. It's disgusting. King with the imperial deep-fried steak. So if you didn't know, pterodons, their beaks and their heads have the properties of both rubber and gum. Then Zoro's trying to hit King with the Phoenix Pound Cannon, can't at all. He does do a Black Rope Dragon Twister, but King just wholesale blocks that. Very impressive. And then King is so confident, so dominant, he's willing to take out his sword and do a sword duel for laughs. And of course, in no fanciful way, he just grabs his sword and he just overpowers Zoro. King is a first division commander for a reason, okay? When you think about some of the greatest fighters in the world of One Piece, if we use Marineford as an example here, if Marco can go one-on-one with Kizaru, guess who's doing the same thing? King the Wildfire. So when folks disrespected King, they're hush-hush now. They're very hush-hush now, without a doubt. And Zoro clearly needed this power-up to beat King. Now, albeit, this thing about him not bleeding is kind of weird, because Zoro did actually make King bleed when him and Sanji had that nasty double page spread, and then also Marco made King bleed too with this dive bomb knee attack. And I do talk about this on my Twitter page, but I'll explain the reasons as to why it could be important, as to why King can't bleed later on in the video. Now, again, based on the events that we're seeing in this chapter, latest chapter One Piece 1032, based on the title page, Odin's beloved blade, it is very clear that Enema is the key. And also is very important here too, is Odin's beloved blade. Why is that important? Because right now, Enema is activating, and it looks like because of Hiri playing the shamisen. That is pivotal. So I've explained before in the past, like for example, my video about creating black blades. Something we know that two Daikengo, two great swordsmen had, is a black blade. Mihawk and the sword god Ryoma. A true understanding of the blade, I think, is pivotal to achieving a black blade. Basically, something akin to a pair bonding relationship. I know it's the wrong term, but I don't care. A pair bonding relationship between a dog and its owner. Something more than just friends. Nakama. Albeit, you're doing a pair bond with the killing machine, but it applies all the same. It's all about pair bonding. I think that's very important to achieving a black blade. And Oda has established way back when the importance of a pair bond between the swordsman and the sword itself. Back, of course, in Logtown with the Sandai Katetsu test. And the Sandai Katetsu was a cursed sword. And Enema is a cursed sword, but it's on roids. It's so cursed, it's magical. If Sandai is Draco Malfoy, then Enema is Voldemort. This thing is disgusting, yo. This thing is completely littered with malice. So much so, it should be a Squid Game prize. And I think that Zoro, because he does not have the sword for a long period of time, Zoro still needs to fully control Enema. Hitetsu did say also, when he was showing Enema, that it was on the verge of being a Black Blade. Again, what's important here, the pair bond between the sword master and the sword itself. And note this very important detail here. We haven't seen this at all in the Zoro King fight just yet. Enema surging. On several occasions in the Kaido fight, Enema was surging against Kaido, to the point where Kaido noted to that he could sense the presence of Oden in the blade that Zoro was wielding. And because the sword kind of activates, you could argue, when Hiri is playing the shamisen, and we know for a fact that Oden did like hearing his daughter play the shamisen. Go back to the flashback, he enjoyed that tune, and the fact that the blade was created for Oden, it appears, very likely appears, that some aspect of Oden, the Chad of Wano, still resides in the blade Enema. Whether or not the blade is alive, it's hard to really say. However, keep in mind that we have seen people like Mihawk, like Zoro, like Shiryu treat their swords with great care. Oda even draws the swords of Zoro in anthropomorphic forms in SBSs. At the end of the day, what Zoro needs the most right now is a better pair bond with his killing machine, Enema. And I think it's happening real soon, because now we're getting doubly confirmed. We got confirmed with Kaido when he says, I can feel the presence of Oden the sword, and then when Hiri starts playing the shamisen, it starts to activate. When it wasn't activating during the entire time against King the Wildfire. We know that Kaido is Oden's arch nemesis, so it's very likely that Enema was somewhat activating on its own because it was facing off against its own arch nemesis. But against King, that's not the case. That would indicate very, very strongly that the sword has essentially a will of its own. And in the case of King, again, Zoro clearly needs the power of Enema, but also probably I'd argue the Firefox style, because the one thing that we haven't touched upon yet with King's abilities is the Imperial Flame. The reason why Zoro can't make King bleed at this point in time may be due to that reason. Our lack of understanding so far of what the Imperial Fire is. Maybe the reason why Marco could actually damage King the Wildfire in that dive bomb attack is because of his Phoenix Fire. The Phoenix Fire and the Imperial Fire seem to have some counterbalance there. It's not a good match, like oil and water, essentially. And then remember too, like I said before, with Zoro and Sanji, in that double page spread, they did quote wound King and Queen, but then Queen says in the chapter after that they did not even feel those attacks. So even though we see King bleeding in that panel, maybe it didn't have any value at all. Because clearly Zoro's having a problem with this now, at this point in time, when King is serious. But he will. Oh, King the Wildfire will feel the power, absolutely, of a surging Enema. Because it looks like on the verge of becoming a Black Blade, Enema is ready to make that very substantive pair bond with Zoro. And I think, in some respects, the Shimotsuki ties do play a role in this. I would argue, actually, 100% they do. I think that the bonding of Enema and Zoro will go smoother than usual because it was created by Shimotsuki Kozaburo, who also happened to make Wado Ichimonji, and we still don't know how exactly he created a cursed sword, but he did. So because of that bond with the Shimotsuki clan that has confirmed ties to Zoro's hometown in the East Blue, where he got Wado Ichimonji, which he's been using for the vast majority of his life, and that sort is very akin to Enma, maybe the same blacksmith, the pair bonding will go even smoother. Which means maybe in this arc, because it was a plot point established in Act 2, we may see Enma actually become a Black Blade in this fight against King. Maybe? But we're gonna see at the bare minimum, Zoro be able to utilize Enema far more efficiently. So once Zoro fully understands the importance of building a great bond with his swords, which I say is the key to, again, achieving a Black Blade, and in the case of Enema specifically, might be the catalyst to actually awaken his Conqueror's Haki, because I've said again, that in the manga, though less so in the anime, but in the manga, against Kaido, the Conqueror's Haki details are still unclear. When he does use the Conqueror's Haki infusion, mind you, he skips a step. He doesn't do any knocking out in the manga, at least. In the anime, he does. But when he does the infusion of Conqueror's Haki, keep in mind too that Enema was also surging when he did Ashura's Dead Man's Game. And we know for a fact that the Chat of Wano had Conqueror's Haki. And the sword has retained some aspects, clearly, of Odin. And even more importantly, there hasn't been a single speck, a single gram of this infusion so far against King the Wildfire. So I do get a lot of flack for this idea, but until we know for sure that Enema is not the cornerstone of Zoro's COC, I'm not going to rule it out. But again, I could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see, okay? At the end of the damn day, during and after the fight against King, Zoro will take a great leap forward to becoming the world's greatest swordsman, to becoming the sword god. And maybe, just maybe, one day, we'll see the anthropomorphic apparitions of the swords in the canon manga, like in Zangetsu from Bleach. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. All right, so quick video. Shout outs to Austin, the awesome lad that edited this video. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm gonna see you cats on the flip side. Take care.